All right, today we are going to talk about why I think young men need bodybuilding or an activity like bodybuilding. So stick around till the end for my final recommendation on how to get started or a particular goal that you can have to get started with bodybuilding. We're going to quickly go over some mental health stuff that I think sort of feeds into why young men need bodybuilding in the first part of the episode. Then we're going to get to some of the benefits. Let's get to the episode. All right, let's talk about 5 mental health points really quickly that I think highlight the need for men to engage in some type of physical activity that teaches them sort of tertiary mental health skills. Now, in this episode, none of this is meant to be mental health advice. I am not your therapist. I am a therapist. And so if you are experiencing any kind of distress, please see a local provider. And if you are in acute crisis, dial 988 or any of your local emergency services. Let's get to it. Point number 1, loneliness during the pandemic we all know about, went on the rise. Additionally, with the advent of video games and social media, it was a lot easier for guys to socially isolate and be alone. I feel like this contributes, just my opinion, to higher and higher rates of depression and anxiety. And a lot of men nowadays in the 18 to 44 and older cohort can't really report any number of close friends. Some report 1 or 2. Once you get above a certain age, I believe that's around 50, some can't even report a single best friend that they would turn to in a time of need, which is really depressing. So that's point number 1. Point number 2, men generally seek mental health treatment at half the rate that women do. So I think thinking about my own caseload as a therapist, this generally tracks. It tracks with my experience. Other people's experience could be different. However, I have seen that I have fewer male patients than I do female patients, and that is just sort of a thing. So the seeking of mental health treatment is sort of another disparity. Point number 3 is to go along with point number 2. Depression and anxiety are on the rise, and more men in the sort of 18 to 40 cohort are reporting that this was greatly exacerbated by the most recent pandemic. So with the lack of mental health treatment or the lack of seeking for mental health treatment, and also the rise in depression and anxiety, we can begin to see a lot of the need here. Pair this with the social isolation, which will also greatly exacerbate some of the depressive symptoms. We can see that there is a need for something. Point number 4, this sort of goes back to isolation a little bit and what I think is sort of opting out of life. Right now, if you were to look at the 4-year college degrees, women make about 60% of the college graduates. And that trend looks to continue. And by around 2030, we are going to see a large amount of men without college degrees, along with a large amount of guys who don't participate in the workforce. Now, there are any number of factors that contribute to this, and those are just some depressing trends in education and workforce participation, which that doesn't necessarily correlate directly with mental health. But if you have men who aren't working, who aren't seeking higher education, what are we doing with our time? Last point, probably the most important point. As of 2022, the CDC reported that the male rate for, we're just going to call it self-deletion because YouTube doesn't like the other word. So it was 4-to-1 the rate of females. Now, this could be attributed to a number of things, but generally it is because men will use more violent means, i.e. firearms. All those mental health things, those trends, and you can check out the CDC and Pew if you want to look at the numbers more deeply, but we are isolating ourselves more. We are reporting more depression and anxiety. We are not as willing to seek mental health help. We aren't participating in the education or workforce as much as we have in the past, and we are losing more men to self-deletion every day. Now, with all those disturbing trends out of the way, what can natural bodybuilding do to help alleviate some of the feelings involved? Now again, these are just my opinions, not a substitute for mental health treatment. See your local providers and dial 988 if you're in crisis. That all said, here are the 4 reasons that I think adoption of a bodybuilding lifestyle, which includes competing, can help alleviate some of the mental distress that we are seeing in the male population. Number 1 thing you learn, or at least the number 1 thing that I'm listing off, that you can learn whenever you adopt sort of a bodybuilding style of training is distress tolerance. So when you bodybuild, I believe you foster sort of mindfulness and present moment awareness skills. And this is very helpful whenever you are lifting generally or relatively heavy weights. A lot of things that I do in therapy are to help people remain in the present moment. And so when you think about bodybuilding style training, like let's say you're under a bench press and you're pressing heavy weight, if you're not present in that moment, you're not going to be able to move that weight effectively. That weight is a stressor. It is a physical stressor. The tension and stress you should feel throughout your pecs and to a lesser degree your triceps will cause your body some stress. However, when you're first beginning your bodybuilding journey, that type of stress initially is going to feel like a lot. But over time, as the days, weeks, and months sort of pass by and you continue to train in a bodybuilding style, that stressor across your chest, your quads, your back, it is going to get less and less. Obviously, you're going to progress things, but it is going to become a lot less mentally fatiguing as it was in the beginning. In bodybuilding, you are going to learn how to handle physical stress, which I believe sort of transfers over and helps you manage mental stress. So that's number one. Number two, emotional regulation. So we now have several meta-analyses that confirm that physical activity, really of any kind, could be yoga, could be running, could be dancing, also weight training, help with symptoms of depression and anxiety. So with emotional regulation, just consistently challenging your body in a physical way is going to be beneficial. Now, some of the reasons that I prefer bodybuilding or I like bodybuilding is some of the secondary effects of it. Yes, you are training your body. Yes, you're getting healthier, but you're also getting bigger and stronger. And in some cases, when you pair that with dieting, you're getting leaner. By sort of engaging in bodybuilding, you're able to manage things like depression a little bit better, but you also get these sort of secondary benefits, which can also contribute to how you feel about yourself. So emotional regulation, management of depression and anxiety symptoms, very cool. Back to sort of some of those secondary things that you get from bodybuilding, the physical cues and confidence. I think you gain a majority of confidence in anything through competence. So getting good at taking care of and transforming your body, I believe, is a great way to build your confidence. Back to the physical cues, bodybuilding, if done for long enough, provides physical cues for your competence. Your ability to build muscle mass, drop body fat, is a sign of competence in a particular area. And if you build competence in this particular area and people begin recognizing you for that, whether it be through competition or your friends or your family, that can lead to greater levels of confidence. So you have confidence and physical cues to competence. Last and best thing that I think bodybuilding does to help someone's mental health is opening you up to a new and supportive community and also exposing you to rituals of that community. So you don't have to be a pro to be a part of the bodybuilding community. You don't have to step on a pro stage. You don't have to be in the IFBB. You could be a part of any organization. Just the act of engaging in a bodybuilding style of training and if you take it a step further and you step on stage, you are now a part of the sort of the competitive bodybuilding community. And there are multiple benefits to being a part of a community, specifically tackling some of those isolation things. You now have people who enjoy the same things as you. You now have people who believe similar things as you. You now have people who have developed sort of competencies in similar areas as you. It is something that sort of ties you all together, and you all have this unspoken similarity grounded in this activity. Now, if we take a look at traditional rituals across cultures, across times, they all share some common features. Many rituals involve physical tasks, hardships, all physical, mental, and spiritual hardships, and a lot requires some level of, honestly, isolation, fasting, physical endurance, and personal sacrifice. Now, if that doesn't describe bodybuilding contest preparation, I don't know what does. There's also a public performance aspect. In traditional rituals, you perform certain actions in front of peers and elders. Much like in bodybuilding, you step on stage in front of your peers and elders. This works to enhance communal bonds and affirm shared values. These rituals that you go through also affirmed your new status in society. So once you step on the bodybuilding stage, whether you win, lose, or draw, that's the public performance aspect, and that is crossing a threshold. You also have traditional rituals sort of symbolizing the transition from one state of being to another, from childhood to adulthood, from single to married, life to death, and generally from the mundane to the sacred. Pair sort of this transition with rich symbolism and bodybuilding, posing trunks, the stage, trophies, and you have a situation that is emotionally and communally salient. So, for all those reasons, I feel like natural bodybuilding is a great way for young men to begin developing distress tolerance, emotional regulation skills, and help with certain aspects of the most recent pandemic that got us more isolated and trending in a negative direction in terms of our mental health. Now remember, any type of physical training, whether that be walking, yoga, weight training, bodybuilding, CrossFit, swimming, any type of movement is going to help with our moods. However, this is a fitness, bodybuilding, and psychology channel, so I really lean into the bodybuilding. And if you've never considered doing a bodybuilding show, here's the goal that may help you join a community, get on that stage, and transition from the mundane to the sacred. Come sign up for your first bodybuilding show Go to ocbonline.com, look for the Mind Muscle Classic, April 19th, 2025, and come say hi. Now, full disclosure, I am promoting the show, but I mention it because I'd really enjoy seeing some of you there, and I'd really enjoy it to be your first show. The point of the show is to help people sort of transition from the mundane to the sacred in this one area of life. Bodybuilding's not for everybody, but if it's for you, if you've ever wanted to try it, I think this will be a great event to step on stage in front of your peers and elders and engage in something meaningful. Also, if a show in West Virginia next April isn't so much in your area or your time frame, go to ocbonline.com, and there are tons of other shows year-round, shows overseas. Check them out and give natural bodybuilding a shot. I think the training involved there provides a lot of direct benefits, and hopefully you think so too. So get your butt on that stage and check out this next episode, which I think you'll like, and I'll see you all there.